What is good people, and welcome back to the fourth episode of this podcast. We made it,
We
and
made it.
just to let people know, we've had a bit of troubles with this one. We've gone around the houses. This is take two. Some it looks all nice on the social media world where you just see the finished product, but we've had to regroup, take some days off, recollect ourselves, and come back stronger. We're at the end of the week, but we're here. We're excited to get talking again. Sunit, how are we?
I'm not too bad, like you said. We've had some technical issues, but we move. We keep it moving. And episode 4 will be out. Don't you worry about that. But if you actually want to know who I am, I'm upset. I'm upset, and you know why I'm upset. We've had a long weekend. We've had some technical issues all week. I'm not feeling too great. Feeling a bit tired. Haven't had a trim in a few weeks. It's the third week of lockdown we're in now. I come on, I think I'm going to see my friend, have a conversation. He's going to be in the same sort of mood, the same sort of mindset. What do I see on my return? Crispiness. Fresh fade. Huh? Since when? When was this going to be discussed? Were we going to talk about this, or was this just something you're going to do at your own and making me look bad as normal?
First and foremost, people, this is the true friend who calls you out, when we're in lockdown situations. But yes, I hope you're feeling the mic, what I'm carrying here. The sides are looking crisp, beard looking crisp, and most importantly, the mustache is looking correct, because that's an area where I start to sweat when I get to the barbershop. Somebody's coming through, they're doing a good job, and they get onto the mustache, they get to the top lip, and they start freestyling. But we've been blessed, and it's because I'm up to something. I'm up to something. Something's coming soon. That's why, I'm not just getting a haircut in these tough times for no reason. I've got something coming for you folks. But I appreciate you calling it out, Sunit. I know you've tried to shape up the beard. Well, you put it down. I don't know if you have a liner or a shape up, but maybe that's for next week.
What we're not going to do is call me out, because you've already backstabbed me. So you're not going to call me out on my trim or what I look like, okay? I came looking humble, thinking, you know what, it's 3 weeks of lockdown. I'm going to show the people that it's been 3 weeks of lockdown. It's been tough, all right? I'm keeping it real, right? So you're not going to call me out. But to be fair, the only reason why I would call out a fade out of that if it's fresh, and it's fresh. So I've got to give you props. It's looking.
I appreciate you calling out a fade, and it feels like a good opportunity to talk about fades, right? Because I view barbers as artists. Not all of them are artists. Let me say that first. Some of them are rogue traders. Some of them you're seeing on Facebook doing all kinds of nonsense. But the true ones, the people who touch my head, artists. And many times I'm walking into the office, I'm walking around on this planet, I've just come out of the barbers. I've got a new level of energy. I've got a new sense of self. And I'm walking into the office. There's hundreds of people around. I'm not hearing a comment. I'm not hearing a comment on what they're witnessing on my head. There's a piece of art just walked in the room. Not one comment. And I don't know if that's a demographic or what's going on in there. But Sunit, I appreciate you. I appreciate you noticing. I appreciate you taking stock. And I'll come back again stronger.
Listen, if your colleagues aren't going to do it, I'll be your hype man. Don't you worry. I'm here for you. I would just like a bit of notice. That's what I'm asking for. A little bit of notice, and maybe I could have got a fade too. Who knows?
I apologize. Are you scheduled? Have you scheduled in for after lockdown? It's ending in a few days. What's happening?
After lockdown, don't worry. I'm coming clean with it. Don't you worry, my friend. You're gonna be a different man on screen.
Let me ask you something then about haircuts, right? Because I was a lot more adventurous in my youth before the corporate world in terms of getting haircuts. I always had the lines in my head. I even dyed my hair blonde once, and now I feel a bit restricted. It's like I can't walk into the office with some lines in my head. How's the client going to feel? And I kind of cut it back, and I'm still keeping the fade. But what are you going for these days? How's the evolution of Sunit's head?
My head top. To be fair, these days with lockdown, mate, this is becoming a far too apparent occurrence. This trim, but no, I'm going for the skin fade, back and sides, nice medium. I don't like it too high or too low. It has to be a medium skin fade for me personally.
Okay.
But it has to go to skin. I need to feel a smooth back, talking like a baby's bottom, smooth.
You need to walk out the barbers and feel the wind on your head.
Oh, 100%. If someone gives me a nice little slap on the back of the neck, I need to feel the force of that slap. Okay, because my hair grows back way too quickly. That's the issue with mine. So it's got to be skin. And then to be fair, on top, I don't actually, even to this day, I don't really know what I do on top. I just give it a nice little trim, thin it out a little bit, and just play it around, see what happens. You know what I mean? The top I'm not too bothered about, but as long as I've got a nice skin fade, it works. It comes together. It falls nicely. That's the way I look at it. But you are right. When I'm walking into the office and I've got that fade, someone, I've got one person's got to give me a shout out. But it doesn't always happen. It's disappointing.
I mean, it's criminal, to be honest, if it doesn't happen. Not only is it a disrespect to me and my head, to the barber, to the artist. They've honed their craft in order for this recognition, and not one person is willing to step out and say, "Hey, man, you're looking sharp today. I appreciate that." Anyway, exactly? So before we go into today's main topic, I think there's some today's world issues that we must address. One being the passing of Maradona this week.
Rest in peace.
How was that one? I mean, this year of 2020 has seen some legends cross over to the other side, being the main one. In comparison, how did this one, when this registered on your Instagram feed?
Well, the thing about Diego is, obviously, he's a legend. This one hurt. This one is going to hurt the whole of the football community, and probably even people outside the football community know about Diego Maradona. But it's one of those where it's like, I was shocked, but then I kind of wasn't shocked. Just because of the lifestyle, the way he was moving. I mean, you heard a report about Diego Maradona literally every year, didn't you? Every year, there was something else that came out about Maradona, about something that he was doing, you know, drugs or alcohol or whatever. So even though it was like, wow, this is mad, it was like, I wasn't shocked, but then I still was kind of shocked because he's still a legend. And he was... So if I'm comparing it to someone like Kobe was... Wow.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. It took me a good few weeks to get over that one. That was a massive shock. That was like, obviously, a crazy accident. This one, even though it's a shock, it's a little bit more sort of understanding. You could have saw it coming.
It's more like, I mean, he did have brain surgery recently as well. I think not even a month ago. So although you're like, wow, a legend has passed, it's not like it came out of nowhere. But it is where the footballing community and the football world stops and just compares him to the greats. And I think we've had this discussion before, in which if you see Maradona play, and we don't like to go too much into past legends if we've never been able to witness them, and we've only seen them on the TV screen, on YouTube or whatnot. But you see the way Maradona played and the way he dribbled almost matches a modern day Messi in the way that he moved.
Yeah,
one of the greats.
One of the greats. If you just see the way people are talking about him, like past professionals, the way they're talking about him, you can tell he was special. You don't even need to have watched him play. Just the way some of the messages that would come through about him, you just knew he was a special talent, and he must have been unreal to watch live.
I bet. I mean, apart from the hand of God, in which every English fan has to just take a moment right there, but legend has passed. Salute him. And my next thing I just want to hit on, just real quick, it's time for it's Sunday. So he's let me know of his evening meals plans. Apparently he's got a roast on the way. So I'm wondering, okay, so it's not his family house. I've been round to his house, I've seen his cooking talents. So I'm just wondering, are you cooking up the roast today? Is that the situation? Is this the takeaway roast? I need to understand what's coming in here, because
I'll be honest, I'm disrespected. I'm disrespected that you'd even question my roast skills. Listen, I'm a chef. All right, I've been living on my own for almost a couple of years now. I can cook up some stuff. Right? Don't me. It's not just any sort of roast. This is a sneak special. All right, this is a king roast. That's
king roast. Okay.
King roast. All right, I've got stuffing, gravy, chicken, parsnips, carrots. What more do you want?
Oh, parsnips. I mean, that's the full works right there.
I love parsnips. I'll be honest with you. Top tier vegetable. Stop
I
saying
could
vegetable.
park them. I could park them.
Oh.
I don't need parsnips.
Hurt me a little bit.
It's not a vegetable for me.
Whew. We'll move on from that.
Anyway, we've been going. We've talked about little bits and bobs, but today's main topic is social media. We all live it. We all experience it every single day. I can guarantee that in the last hour, within you listening to this podcast, you've had a scroll, you've had a notification, and it's affecting our world in many different ways. So let's just dive right in.
Yeah. I feel like I need to just quickly brief on why we're discussing this today, because I had a little moment during the week, over the past week really, where I know I'm late to the party, but I'm starting to delve into TikTok a little bit. Now, I don't have the app yet. I need to make that clear. I do not have the app downloaded, but it has obviously started to stream it to Instagram, some of these videos. So I'm seeing a few. And obviously, Instagram is like, once you watch one video, it feels like it knows your whole life story. And it starts flooding. You're suggested with all sorts of the same videos. So I'm starting to see a lot more. And it just got me thinking, like, wow, man, like, this is actually a craze right now. Like, social media really takes over. When it starts getting on a bit of a hype train, it takes over the world. Everyone these days is on TikTok now, isn't it?
Mm. And what type of videos are you watching when you get onto TikTok? What is the suggested feed that's clogging up and knowing your lifestyle?
Well, right now, I'm in a really weird food craze. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I've started watching loads of food videos, like people chefing up and like doing a little before and after and just showing you how the ingredients are made. So I think I looked at one video and now that's all that I ever see. So that's a loop. And I'm starting to, I don't know, I don't like this, but I think I watched one video of those dances that they do. That's one thing I don't like about TikTok. I ain't a fan of the dances.
You don't like the hype?
No, all that random dances and everyone just jumping on the same thing. It's not for me. But right now it's in my feed because I watched one video and I'm trying to get rid of it.
But because you spend 3 seconds watching it just a little too long, it's going to continue being there. You have to be strict with yourself if you're getting that up.
I know.
But you mentioned, you did text me in the week. You said, do you watch TikTok? I'm watching TikToks now. And now you're mentioning that you don't even have the app.
No.
And I think for all people above the age of 10, they go through the 3 stages of TikTok. Firstly, we've identified that you're a late adopter.
Yeah.
You're a late adopter when it comes to the social media world. You've seen this thing, you said, this is above me. TikTok? No. How can I dive this low? I'm not 10 years old. But anyway, as all people go through, again, as I said, above the age of 10, is 3 stages. Stage 1, the late adopter, or that late adopter period is kind of gone, or the denial. You're saying, I'm too old for this, all this dancing. I don't really want to see it. I don't need it. I don't want it in my life. Or they're peeking it on Facebook and they're starting to get a little whiff. Stage 2, Sunit's currently in stage 2. It's where you're now starting to have a bit of an interest. You've not downloaded the app yet, but you're the secret fan.
Yeah.
You're like a majority of Drake fans. You're not coming out there.
Okay.
You don't want to join the bandwagon, although it's one of the best things happening right now. But you're watching it in your spare time. 3, you download the app, you convert, you sell your soul to the social media world, and that's it. You're in a 2-hour scroll.
Yeah. You accept reality.
And
the question is though, how long between stage 2? Because obviously I'm well and truly in stage 2. I'm in stage 2. I'm a secret fan, pretending like I'm not a fan, but I'm just being stubborn. But how long am I in the stage for? So I hit stage 3.
I would give it, but I'd also caveat here, it depends on your social media habits and the way in the world that you're using social media, right? If you're enjoying it a lot, if you're able to sustain that within the other apps that you're using, Facebook, Instagram, even though I doubt it, you may be able to hold off for a little while. There will come a point though in which your day is taking a downturn, you're filling some hours, Netflix is not fulfilling your life.
Yeah.
And you say, you know what, let me just, no one's looking over my shoulder. Let me download this app. Let me enjoy it. Next minute you're in. And that's it. All you needed to do is that one download. And you're gone. Because let me tell you what TikTok is like in the real world. For people who don't use TikTok or not yet experience it, is still in that stage one. TikTok is like a Las Vegas casino. You get in there, it's amazing. There's lots of lights flashing. There's no windows, there's no doors, there's no time. They're feeding you drinks, they're keeping you on the slots machine. And before you know it, it's 10 hours later and you're 10 grand down. You get into a TikTok scroll, you do that one flick, the blinkers are on. You don't even know what's happening in the world around you above that screen. You're in that casino. And it's dangerous.
That is a real analogy. And you know what? I'll probably even say that is probably the same for all social media in the early beginnings of them. So that's why this is a good conversation to have, Ryan.
So let me ask you then. As I was saying, it's depending on your social media habits.
Yeah.
How are you and social media? What's your relationship with it? How you use it? Just on a, not whether it's good or bad just yet, but just how do you use it and where do you see it?
Yeah,
in your life.
I'm happy to hold my hands up and say I like social media. I'm a social media fan. Right? I love it. I'm generally, like I said earlier, I'm a little bit late to the party with a lot of social medias, but once I get onto them, I do enjoy it. Like, it's a time filler, as you said. However, in the more recent past, I've definitely minimized the amount of different social media avenues I'm going down. So realistically, at this point now, it's only Instagram and YouTube, I'd say, that I'm on. No Twitter, got rid of that. No Facebook, got rid of that. No Snapchat, never been on Tumblr or Reddit or anything like that. So at this point in time, it's only limited to a couple apps. TikTok soon come, but for now, it's only limited to a couple apps. But I'm still using those apps pretty often. It's not like even though I might be using less apps, I still would say I'm still using social media a high amount. So I can't sit here and pretend like I don't like social media. I do enjoy it a little bit. It takes up a lot of my day, which hurts.
And is its purpose in your life just to have a quick thrill? Is it to go on there and learn something? Is it just purely entertainment? Where does it fit in? What time of the days are you using it? I'm just trying to get a picture here, understand the landscape.
What's scary for me is right now it's just almost habit. It's like if I'm a little bit bored or my attention's just not right there, I'm just phone. What can I go on? Quick fix. Quick fix. You know what I mean? What can I flick on? 9 times out of 10, there's nothing on this. It's nothing great. But like I said, at the moment, which is scary for me, it's habit. Instagram anyway. YouTube is more entertainment. YouTube, when I want to sit down after work, pull out the laptop, I just want to watch some entertaining stuff. YouTube is more for that. But Instagram particularly, it's just habit. What about yourself?
Now, firstly, you took me back when you said YouTube, because when I'm thinking of social medias, instantly, I'm thinking Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those Snapchat, that kind of world.
Yeah.
I've almost just completely put aside where YouTube is. And that just before I get into my habits, now I'm thinking about it. What was the first? Was YouTube the first?
I think so.
But could you comment originally? Was it the first social media?
See, for me, social media, the definition I don't know if this is a fact, but my definition of social media is it's something where you have to be able to upload content, but you can also interact with other people. Therefore, if YouTube was originally just uploading content and didn't have that comment section, then I don't think it'd be classed as social media at that point. But I'm pretty sure you could always do comments on YouTube. I think YouTube was the originator. I think that was the first, if I'm right.
It's the first one I remember ever using because I used it in primary school.
Yeah.
That's what I have a vivid memory of getting onto YouTube and being like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
I can watch something that was on TV.
Yeah.
Because that was before we had the where on demand and everything. Like if you didn't watch it, even then for us it was like it was gone. But let me just put out the definition of social media so we can check our facts here.
Yeah.
Websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking.
Yeah.
So if we're going by the clear fact, the clear definition that says create and share content, maybe YouTube was the first, or now I'm really rewinding. Was thing like MySpace? Was that MySpace was before me.
MySpace was before me too, but that might have been earlier. Or like Bebo.
I was thinking that, but I was like, Bebo was surely around when Facebook was around.
Yeah.
I had a Bebo.
Yeah.
For sure, and that was our secondary school, and I think that's when Facebook was.
Okay. Listen. At the end of the day, we know if YouTube's been around the longest, I think we can say.
Yeah.
It might not have been the originator, but it's been around the longest because I think it was definitely before Facebook. So it's still active today.
Yeah, for us in particular as well. So I think the way I try and treat social media right now, I think I'm definitely in that period in which I don't like my habits, but as I said, I'm calling them habits because I'm on it. I've always been a social media person. I was pretty late to the game. I didn't get a smartphone till I was 18. Moved to America. I was like, oh, I might need to talk to my family sometimes. You know, I might need something to show a picture or share something. So I went to Walmart, got this Breeze Block cover, looked like a BlackBerry knockoff phone, had Facebook, downloaded Instagram for the first time, go and check my first post. It was very embarrassing. Still there to this day. I don't know what was going on. Looked like a microphone head. But ever since then, I've always been quite quick to be on a new social media. Like, I'm on it quite early. I'm trying it out. TikTok did take me a while because I was like, this thing seems to like... I think because it first originated in China, because that's where it was first popular. I didn't know if it was just an app that they use a lot, because a lot of their social media is different to what we use. And then it kind of came over and I was like, this seems just like 10-year-olds. And then I was on it, then I gave in and I was on it. But I'm always on them quite early. But then it doesn't take me too long before I decide whether this is gone. I don't need this anymore. But I still keep those apps on me. Like Twitter, it could get removed. I never look on it really, apart from if I'm looking at a Donald Trump tweet. Snapchat, it's on my phone. What do I need Snapchat? Instagram stories is replacing that. Like, that's gone. So they're there. I'm leaving them there in my vision, although I don't really like the way I use them, but I do love sharing. Like, I like the idea of sharing parts of my life, sharing things, and just being part of that community that is wider, that lives on in the social world. But that being said, I don't necessarily need the other side of it, which might be more of a selfish view. Like, I don't have notifications on my phone. I really don't go on and look for people's lives in particular, but I am caught into that like stories and instance life. Like, if I go on Instagram, I'm more interested in someone's Instagram story as opposed to what's in their feed.
But that's why I think this conversation is so good to have about social media and whether or not this is good or bad for society, which we'll get into a bit more later. Is because you look at both of our like perceptions of social media that we've just described. We both show that we like social media and we enjoy it, but we were still hesitant and we're still like, but we know that we're too much habit based and we're on it too much and we wish we could, lower our intake, blah, blah. So there is that. I think that's with everyone. Everyone you ask will know deep down that they shouldn't be on it as much as they are, but they just can't help themselves. And it's just that pull and that's why I think this is a good conversation to have.
And I do want to just go back again into YouTube because I'm interested again. What was your first memory of YouTube videos that you were watching? Because if that's the first one kind of thing, what was the first thing that you were kind of like, oh, I have a choice over what I'm watching. I'm not just watching what's on TV or what my parents are watching now. What's that first thing that was like, got you hooked?
I just remember, you know what, back in the day, it was just pranks. I remember there was this...
You one of them?
I was one of them.
No!
I was one of them. I was because that for a while that's what all YouTube was. It was like it was just, but not the it went a bit. The pranks went a bit crazy. There was loads of pranky channels. It was all fake. The original YouTube pranks were actually jokes. If we go back, I'm talking back like 10 years. The original YouTube pranks were hilarious. Remember when they used to go around like on buses and just slap people with a whoopee cushion machine and stuff like that? They were doing all mad stuff on YouTube back in the day. There was no filter.
That thing with pranks on YouTube is the half pranks, half abuse.
Yeah.
They're usually abusing somebody and then young people laughing. But I'll let you take that one. My first memories of YouTube was football videos.
Ooh, yeah.
This is like when I was in primary school. I first just fallen in love with football. I was like, I can watch Ronaldinho videos. I think at the time it was Nike's like Jogger Bonita era and the era of like Henry and all of them. Like the adverts that were coming out were outrageous. And then skills videos, football skills videos. I was hooked. Home, got on YouTube, half an hour of football skills, and then I'd be in the garden just like getting mad at myself because I couldn't do them, kicking the ball at the hedge and trying again.
That's a good shout, actually. I forgot about football videos. They were very addictive back in the day. I've got to give you that one. I've got to give you that.
Yeah. It was YouTube. I'm just reminiscing, going way back. Let's move on and get a bit deeper into the social media world. And now that we've kind of played our landscape, I want to kind of move on to how is social media apps affecting our lives? What's the goods? What's the bad in society as a whole? Where do you firstly see the future of social media for the society? And where do you see social media in your life in the future in terms of habits?
Yeah.
So for that question, I'm looking to see, are you seeing yourself continuing the same habit? Are you wanting to reduce yourself, the amount you use it? Do you think you'll benefit because of that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can touch on the future later. Let me first talk about what's going on right now in terms of society and social media. Because when we were obviously building up for this episode to talk about social media, you mentioned to me, Sunny, before we do this episode, you've got to watch Social Dilemma on Netflix. For anyone who has not watched that, please go and watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix. That had me questioning my whole life.
Facts.
That had me questioning everything. I was thinking, I've got no free will. Is any choice I've made in my life from myself? Or has everything just been influenced and manipulated by these big tech organizations just telling me what I like and what I don't like?
It's dirty.
I was in a place of absolute despair after watching that. So to me, if you wanna have a nice, happy life, don't watch that. But if you start questioning things, it's a great documentary to watch. And to be fair, it comes at it from one angle. Obviously, it's got an agenda, like most documentaries have, and it's coming at it from one angle. It briefly gives you the other side of the coin, but really it touches on that right at the end. There's clearly one agenda, which is the idea that these big tech corporations at the moment, all your social media apps, they prey on us. We are the product, we aren't the customer, and they've just been influencing us and manipulating us slowly over time to basically conform to certain behaviors or to stick with certain likes and interests that they believe we like from how active we are on social media, right? And it's scary. It is scary, that documentary, and I feel like obviously as much as it's coming from one angle and it's got an agenda, there's a lot of evidence and a lot of facts in there, so it can't be ignored. So in terms of social media, there are some clear scariness about it.
So let me first just touch on social dilemma.
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned your review. It is a crazy documentary. It's so like topical in terms of what's going on right now. It was a must watch for you. What was the initial things that made you scared? Like, what were the things that you're like, this is crazy. This is really like where it's bad.
I think everyone to this day knows that we are obviously being pushed and influenced by these companies, because everyone knows now they obviously store a lot of data, especially with their algorithms, Instagram and whatnot. They've all got their data. They all know our likes and interests, so they flood our feeds with stuff that they think we will like based on what we've liked in the past, right? So I think everyone already kind of knows that that's going on. I don't think that, and no one's in the dark about that. But what's scary, right? Particularly this documentary, it's interviewing a lot of people who used to work at these social media places like Facebook, Google, YouTube, whatever. And I guarantee you, all of those people still use social media and still haven't deleted any of the apps. And even after watching that, I didn't delete any apps. I was scared and I was like, what's going on? But I'm still, because I think we're too far gone as a society. We rely on it so much now. It doesn't matter, even if the signs are put in front of us and the facts and evidence are put in front of us, we rely on social media so much that we still wouldn't give it up, even though it is scary. Like in the documentary, it goes into stuff that was happening in Myanmar, doesn't it? Yeah. And how hate speech was pushed through Facebook to get, put the population basically performing hate crimes on Muslims in Myanmar. And that's all through social media and Facebook pushing these sort of, rhetorics and influences to the Myanmar population. That's the kind of sway they can have. They can actually force people to go and actually perform like actual abuse on a religion, which is mental. That is scary.
So that's 2 points there, which I really think are scary. One, the real life, what's happening in the real world because of control through governments, through just a collective voice of hate speech that is being able to be generated so quickly and shared around the world. But also, and probably more relevant to our lives, is that thing that you said. You watched it, you were scared, nothing changed. And even the guy, I think, one of the guys in the documentary, I think it was the Pinterest or CEO, someone really high up within Pinterest who was the original guy. He was like, I'm completely aware of my habits. I completely know that I'm doing this. I even know how the algorithms are formulated and worked, yet I still can't stop myself.
Scary.
I'm still scrolling. I'm still going on there and still looking. And I think those are 2 great points. I think for me, what I think, where is social media getting really bad? One, probably mental health for young people.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to compare our lives. It's so easy to see finished products, not actually see the work that's put behind this. So everyone has this notion of wanting to be this thing, be great, without ever seeing the work that's gone behind it or understanding what it means. And then even just on a closer level, we see our friends' lives or other things in which we start to compare ourselves because they're sharing this or they're doing that. And we start to look bad on ourselves or think bad about what we're doing. And I think that side of social media is a bit.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think, like you said, I agree with those points, and there are a lot of scary things about social media, and that's obviously where that particular documentary is going and the angle it's taken, right? But for all the things we've just said, I think there's also a flip side to it, where social media can be a good thing. I just think where it's been taken at the moment, how it's been stretched and what it's being used for, has turned it into this scary, negative thing. Because like you said with the whole mental health issue, I think in the documentary it shows the correlation of when social media began to rise and the amount of suicides. And there's a clear correlation and increase in suicide since social media has begun, right? Which there's no doubt that is clearly an issue. But at the same time, social media can be used for so much good. You can see a lot of posts on social media where they're uplifting people. Well, they're trying to anyway. They're trying to uplift people, and they're trying to show that different bodies and different people from different backgrounds are all beautiful and all this. And there's a lot more pages that are trying to come up now, a lot more blogs through social media that are trying to present the other side of the coin and show that beauty is not just one standard. So I feel like social media can be. This is why I think it's a good conversation, because as much as I believe right now, especially after watching that documentary, it's in a really bad place because it's been stretched and it's been basically conformed to the capitalist system where it's all about making money. It's all about making money. It's all about bringing in advertisers, and in order to do that, we need as much data on us as possible to make sure that the advertisements that they're giving us are going to be successful, because that's how they make more money. So it's gone down your typical capitalist route of money, forcing it into this cause for change and this cause of being just toxic. But at its core of what social media is, I think it actually is a great thing. You know, the ability, just like you said before, about you can speak to your family in America from a different continent, bringing people together like that, being able to uplift people, and all those sort of things. It can also be a great thing.
So let me ask you then, because here we're going into, okay, social media is great.
Yeah.
There is a lot of things it's good for, but you also just mentioned there that it's on the wrong path. Okay, so you think it's going in the wrong direction?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so you think it's going in the wrong direction with the way that social media is the beast of it, and it's kind of uncontrollable. Do you think that there's even a possibility of it getting better if you think it's going in the wrong direction? And is that where you start to see you think it needs to be controlled?
Oh, well, yeah. I think the only way now, because like I mentioned before, we are so far gone as a society, where now, in order for it actually to be pulled back into what its core values were and what its core strengths of social media was, in order to be pulled back there got to be some control, some regulation. So I think first and foremost, if we're talking about that mental health point that you brought up, set an age limit. Set an age limit and stick to it. In terms of, I genuinely believe now that 18 plus should use social media. No one below 18 plus should use social media. That is my honest opinion. And we need to start getting a better system of somehow an ID in order to get into these apps, or being much more regulated from that sense. Because obviously anyone nowadays can just put in whatever data birth they want. So there's got to be some more control over that. But for me, definitely, that is one step. We'll talk about more steps later, but that is one step that needs to be done.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the opposing view here. Right, I like the point in which you're saying, like, okay, it is good, and there are ways. You think it's kind of too far gone. I'd agree. The direction social media is going is in a dangerous space, but I also think it's not something. While I think it's a bit of a pipe dream to think that you can kind of bring social media back and that it's too far gone. To me, it's not too far gone. To me, it's still developing. And when anybody like is mentioning that this is gone, there's no way coming back. It needs regulation. I can't agree, because the beast that is social media and the way that most of these companies are made are not with this intention, right? The only reason they're changing is through human habit. Okay, the way the user uses it. People like Jack Dorsey, who founded Twitter, right? Twitter has led to Donald Trump being the president through the way the user uses it. Now he's never wanted it to become that beast it has, but the population made it like that. And I think while it is crazy that something like that can have such an impact on society and government, I don't think having strict government regulations on certain platforms such as social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, whatever, is necessarily the way. And maybe it's a bit of a capitalist view, but I think that needs to be more probably education around it and much more of an embrace of social media. Social media is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Technology is only going to get better. There's only going to be more ideas about how to use it. Unfortunately, there's only going to be better and smarter and clever algorithms and ways in which to market to you. While you say having an 18-year-old limit, while that's nice in a perfect world, impossible. Kids are getting phones younger. People probably have iPads and whatnot way younger, like when they're first coming out in order to distract. So I think that it's more of an embrace and educate and try and shape society in that way. But the more that you try and control through especially government restrictions, the more I think you come into dangerous territory of being like a China, in which you're like, this is what you see, this is what we allow, this is the speech you can have. But on the same point, I get where people come from when they say, well, then the owner has that say. They can control, like Twitter's kind of flagging all of Trump's tweets. But that's already present. That's what's happening with the newspapers and the guy who owns Sky and everything, Murdoch.
Yeah.
He's been doing that before social media, and I don't think that's going away. Unfortunately, it's more of an embrace for me.
Here's where I disagree with that point, okay? Because the reason why I think I'm so, first of all, I know, yeah, social media ain't going nowhere, and I'm happy for it to stay. I'm not saying that it can't get pulled back to where it used to be, and I just mean what I'm saying is the fact that the reason why I think controls are needed now is because it's killing people now. Now it's serious. I think there is a correlation between suicides and the use of social media and how that's happening. That is now a point of government concern. It's no longer just an act for fun. It is a point of concern that needs to at least be addressed, right? And we're not only talking about suicides, we're talking about hate speech. We're talking about, look at Donald Trump, his use of it, just like you said. He is, created almost cult-like behavior. He almost had people rioting over the most recent election, talking about, it's rigged. People believe that. You can spout whatever kind of information you want through these social media, and people will believe you if you've got enough traction, enough respect, and you can cause all sorts of crazy riots or whatever. That is a point of government concern. But what I want to talk about in terms of what I disagree with you is the fact that you said that it's to do with habits. That is what's sort of pulled social media. I don't agree. I don't think it has. I don't think that's what's actually changed social media. I think what's changed social media into what it is now is shareholders. It is businesses. It is the fact that these aren't just apps. These are businesses in a capitalist society, in a corporate world. In order for them to succeed and thrive, they have to beat out competition. They have to be competitive. They have to make more money. How do they make more money? Advertisements. Like just filling your timeline with content advertisements over and over again, using your data, storing as much data as they can for you to see what you like in order to make sure that the ads they give you are going to be successful. That means these advertising companies will pay them more, right? People like government who want to use this sort of information, like Cambridge Analytica, want to use this data to work out elections, to target people who they know will vote for them. They're going to be paying these corporations a lot of money. And now all this money and these massive tech companies are now economic forces in their own right because they're making trillions of pounds. So they're their own economic force, and now they actually have a say on government because now they can say, all right, if you want to put controls on us, if you want to do something, we'll just leave. We don't need you. We'll go. We'll see how your economy thrives without us, because it won't. Because social media tech, that is what runs the world at the moment. And that's what I believe has changed social media and dragged in, not our habits. We are being constantly influenced by them. It's actually the fact that they are, because through their own selfishness and greed, well, they have to be in order to survive as a business. They're trying to influence us more and more and push us to conform.
Okay, 2 points. One, I agree. Okay,
yeah.
I agree on the shareholder point.
Yeah,
definitely the need for money, because if it's not about the money, it is about the money. It's always coming and circling back round to the money. So in where I'm saying habits, that is because of what the shareholders have wanted and pushing us to see more advertisements, making it more addictive, and thus changing our habits in a way. So as an individual, you don't stand much of a chance in order to go against that beast of society. But as a society, we've jumped to it, right? As people, we've jumped, and we're easily susceptible because of our need to want more and want to be entertained a lot quicker, a lot more cheaply, and be sucked into that. But I just want to put up a point, and this is what you've mentioned to me before, right? You mentioned because on the side in which hate speech is shared quickly and people like Donald Trump can do stuff, there's also the side of it in which social movements such as Black Lives Matter and the things that's happened with George Floyd, in which everything is happening right now. Everything is being recorded right now and being shared across the globe right now. So these acts of change in society take less than a day in order for people to get together and say, hey, me over here in New Zealand, I agree with that point, that is the wrong way that the society is moving, and we need to say something about that. And me over here in Nigeria, I agree. I agree. And we can all come together in our own little bubbles, yet make a collective huge noise through the power of social media. So we're able to impact change. And that's where I think it needs to be embraced, because I don't think it's going to go away. And I really don't think that government restriction is going to change it. But I think by using it in the right ways, making sure your voices are heard, and making sure the right voices are heard. And I don't want to say the right voices in terms of culling and stopping other voices being heard, but making sure that they are available on those platforms, so you can go and make your own informed decision. Then there's a space in which people are making more educated choices and using the platform for more education, and not just being restricted in what they can see.
And I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. But here's where I'm going to use your argument against you, because in a perfect world, that is amazing. If everyone, could come together on social media and use it for good, and change our habits and use it for change and speak up on issues. Yeah, again, George Floyd is a perfect example of how it can be used for good. The issue is not everyone's a good person in this world, and people can spread fake news through social media. They can spread hate speech. There is still that. And the thing is, we don't even know what's going on anymore. That's what's happened with social media. We don't know what I'm looking at news and thinking, is this real or is this not? Where is the source? Because you can spread whatever you want on social media. And while I agree with you, yes, if we do as a nation come together, that okay, we're going to start changing how we approach social media and use it for change, of course. But again, in an ideal world, that's just not going to happen. And I think without control, without actual more restrictions and more attention, maybe government control is a bit too far at this point in time, but at least some attention from the government to say, okay, how are we going to address that there is an issue here? Because there is an issue at hand. So yeah, maybe that is one step too far for right now, but I do feel that the governments have to come together as a collective and talk about, okay, this is killing people now. This is not just, a little bit of fake news and people, conspiracy theories and whatnot. No, this is actually killing people. People are actually going one step further and rioting and using violence, spreading violence. That is a point where now it becomes a government concern.
So let me just ask, as a majority, and we're taking all social medias as a population, for those who use it in a bad way, to promote bad speech or things in which you consider to be bad, and opposed to those who use it in a good way, use it more generally, probably more influenced, what do you think the split is?
That is a very good question.
Because I'm just trying to understand how much we should punish the good for those who are bad.
That is a good question. And I believe it's 50-50, I would say.
50-50?
I'm going there.
I cannot.
Do you know why? I'll tell you it's 50-50? The reason why I believe it's 50-50 is because of two reasons. Donald Trump getting presidency. And that's not to say that everyone who supported Trump is bad, right? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if you look at the rhetoric and the language Donald Trump used to gain presidency, it's scary. It's scary because he's a genius, to be honest, because he saw in the economic market that there is way more population that are incredibly patriotic, and if he can present a me versus them rhetoric about the wall and about we need to look after us and we need to focus on ourselves, he would win based on that, right? And again, for me, that is what's bad. That's what's scary. The fact that he could do that and still win shows that there are enough people out there who still have this selfish greed and selfish innate nature, because that actually pulls to them and pulls them so much that he can get a majority in an election and win.
So let me just pull 2 points quickly, because to your 50-50 point and relating it back to Trump, Trump won on electoral votes, electoral college votes, okay? So that is different to mass population, okay? So just going to call that one out.
No, but on actual votes, he was not far off.
He wasn't.
It was 50. It was like, I think Hillary had him not by a lot.
By a couple million, maybe.
Exactly. So
yeah, but that's just America. If we expand it across the whole world, that little margin gets a little bit bigger, because I think in every instance in which that kind of rhetoric is being shared, you're going to have the mass population agree, lean more to this side as opposed to that.
Mm.
And I think also just kind of agreeing, hearing your point and making mine a little bit smaller, not the point smaller, but making it more focused. I think now more than ever, there's a huge there's a huge difference between being an influencer, being a follower, being an influencer and being a follower, sorry.
Mm.
So there's more voices that you're hearing, but those people who are able to convey their points and share their voice in a really successful way are now able to influence a lot more, because a lot of the people that are voting really don't care that much about what is going on. They're not really reading in beyond what they see on Facebook. They're not going and doing their own searches. They are just being fed their suggested feed, right? So it is a kind of weird time in which you're trying to understand who's the best at sharing that voice, and Trump is, and his party and him getting elected was a masterclass in being able to feed that voice through to the people in the rural areas of America and enough people in inner cities. But we're coming to the end of the podcast, so I'm just going to go on 2 points really quickly. One point is something I want to discuss really short, but not get into it because I think it's one for another topic. And then I finally want us to answer that question of how do we want to see the future of social media used in our lives, and how do we want to go? So one is on small towns, and I mentioned Electoral College, and how you see when you see the map of America, for example, is that you see the populous place, the cities are the ones that leaning liberal, and those more rural areas red. Okay, and with social media now allowing us to be more connected, and with our world being able to work more remotely, as we've seen through COVID, do you think there's going to be a push in which people start to move further out from cities? Do you think cities are going to become more redundant in their power, and that we as a population are going to be spent? Now that's quite a big question. So I just want to hear your initial, just quick thought, because I was like, it just pops up in my head, and then we'll go on to the answer our other questions.
So you're saying, will people start to go into the more rural areas? Will we see more? I don't know if that's going to happen.
Will small towns and villages become more popular because people are able to have more of a voice in the world by being their own? Yet when they close their screen, they're able to be in some peace.
I'm still going to say no. I don't think it will, because I think we us as human beings, innate, we search for happiness, and I feel like with it, we find happiness when there's more stuff to do, and there's more stuff to fill our time, and there's more enjoyable things to do. And in your populations, the reason why they're popular and the reason why they are so populated is because they have so much more to do. There's so much more to gain there, right? And yeah, while your voice may not be as impactful in terms of your actual life and what you're doing, the happiness you get from that is still in cities. So therefore, I don't think we would sacrifice our happiness just to have more voice.
My initial thoughts are that we'll definitely spread out. We'll definitely get more out, because you're able to be so much more successful from your home. You're really able to get out, and with the social media taking more of an impact on our lives and really affecting what we do every day, I think the need for an escape and the need for being more separated from people is only going to grow, and that's going to force more people moving out. I mean, the population is always growing, so these cities are only going to get bigger and bigger. Yeah. But I think more and more people, especially young people, because we're the ones who flock to cities, are going to start thinking, I might be able to actually live in somewhere which is a lot more beautiful, not in one room in London. Yeah, I can still do this job. I can still have an impact. I can still have a voice. So those are my initial thoughts. We're going to park that one because I think that's the one we can get into another day, and a more broader topic of where we're moving as a society of young people and just cities and living. But to end this podcast, Sunit, let me hear how do you think you're going to use social media? Not right now, not in the immediate future, but say 5 years from now. How would you like to be using social media? Where do you kind of, if you were making a prediction, where do you kind of think it will be?
Yeah. So, like I said, I love social media. At its core, I love what it is, and it is enjoyable. So I just want to be able to break out of that habit. Because right now, I'm not going on there just to seek entertainment, just to seek enjoyment. I'm doing it in random spaces of time, in between random things, and it's like just based on habit. For me, first and foremost, what I want to do going forward is I want to be able to break the habit. I want to be able to only use social media when I want to have some entertainment and go onto social media with a purpose, not just I'm going to click on it and see what happens. For me, that is scary. The fact that I don't actually know what I'm going on there for, I'm just doing it because it's what I'm made to do. I want to only be able to use my social apps when I'm in a moment. Okay, I've now got nothing else to do. I want to see some entertainment. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go on this. And that is where I want to be with my social media use.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so. Social media is such a hold on our lives, and moving away from it, if possible, is definitely the goal. I think me personally, I definitely see social media only continuing to grow and only continuing to affect us more. I definitely want to kind of separate myself from social media a little more, and in that, it's just not feeling like I need to pick it up when I have a moment where I'm like, okay, I've got a break at work. Why is it picking up my phone? You know, being more strict in terms of how I use it, maybe in certain times of the day, because I think it just being on social media is not going to benefit your life in any way if you're using it constantly throughout the day. But I still do think social media is a force going forward, and it has to be embraced. And I think there are many good things. We didn't touch on like the education that can be gained through social media, the idea of having podcasts or audio books, things where you can just listen straight away. I don't know if you call that social media, but that's through the world of technology, or learning things and new interests that can quickly be gained up and reinforced through social media.
Building a brand, having your own career, not doing your normal 9 to 5 if that's not for you. Having been able to, have a successful, sustainable career just from social media. They're all great things. That's why I think most people would agree at its core, social media is great.
Yeah, and I like that you've mentioned a brand, because we didn't mention that at all throughout the thing, but just the ability that now through social media, any man, really, whether you like it or not, and whether most of the people you probably see in those influencer spaces who are making money on social media is like, God, I don't get you. You're probably a bit fake on the other side, but you're really able to make a serious career from utilizing social media. It's not just people on the TV who have been able to go through these schools and get these opportunities. If you have a camera, you can make yourself a hell of a lot of money from showing a talent and just picking it up. And it's a great point and a great way to kind of close it up.
Yep.
Go do good with social media. Go use it for the best you.
100%. I like your point earlier. If we can actually, as a society, just start using it for good, it can be a great tool. But will that happen? We will have to see, right?
We'll have to see. And that's a wrap on podcast number 4, talking social media. It's been a good one. I've enjoyed it, Sunit.
It's been fun. This one's been my favourite so far.
So anyway, guys, we'll see you again every Tuesday. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.
Peace out, guys.